Hello again. This is Doug, the 2-Minute Gardener, and today we're going to talk about how to build a keystone wall. I love using keystone block to build short little walls for everything from raised vegetable beds, for terracing, for seating walls. The keystone block has a lot of different purposes that you can use in your garden for these wonderful little walls when you have elevation changes, or if you just want to enclose a patio with something that's really neat to put pots on, like you see in this particular photo. So Keystone is a company that sells about 7 different products for these kind of block walls, walls that don't need reinforcement via rebar or concrete footings. They're basically dry stack walls as compared to a wall made from CMU block, which is mortared in place and has rebar and concrete reinforcement. So again, Keystone walls are great for short little walls. So this was a project that I did a few months ago, and the previous contractor used these Keystone blocks to try to terrace it. The problem they used is they used Keystone block that was only rated to go up to 2 feet, and we had about a 3-foot height here, and so there was a failure of that particular block wall. So we tore it all down and we decided to do a Country Manor Keystone wall, which is rated for 3 feet. Now, the important thing that even when you're doing a keystone wall, you still have to have a good footing. So with Keystone block, Country Manor, as you see in this video, we made sure to use a gravel footing. So we excavated down 12 inches, compacted the dirt, put in gravel, and then began laying the base course of the keystone. It is incredibly important that that course is laid on compacted gravel and is perfectly level, because if your bottom course isn't perfectly level, you're going to have a funny looking wall. So once the keystone was laid in that bottom course and it was perfectly level, then it would start to laying the subsequent courses. Now Country Manor Keystone has this ingenious mechanism for holding the blocks together. It's these pins, and these pins will hold the wall really nicely together. Now, to add stability to this particular project, the contractor also used some Rappy Set epoxy from SRW to really hold all the blocks in place nice. So these blocks are held in with both the pins and the epoxy. And as you can tell when you look at these blocks, they do have the holes that you can run the rebar through. Again, I have used Country Manor Keystone for walls up to 5 feet, but then you do have to do some engineering with the footings and the rebar and the spacing of the rebar. But for the purpose of this video, we're looking at a short wall that is at its highest point about 3 feet tall at one end. It's important, and I'm going to say this again, when you're looking at doing a keystone wall, make sure that the material of that wall is rated for the height you want to get to. Some block is only good for 2 feet, some block 3 feet, some block can go even higher. Make sure you pick the right material, and there are web pages in the description of this video that show you some of the specs for each of these blocks. Alright, so once the wall is all laid out and done, it's time to put the cap on. Now when you get to the point of laying the cap in, as you can see, we had to do a little bit of cutting on the cap to get it perfectly edged out and laid out really nicely. But once it's done, the cap adds that beautiful finishing touch. So looking at the project again, here's what the before was, and here's what it looks like now that we've installed a really beautiful Country Manor Keystone wall. We've done this 2-level terrace in the front of this property for their rose garden and their companion plants. And the great thing about this is now the roses have this beautiful draining soil for the rose garden, and they're in a much sunnier spot than they were in the previous part of the property. So they're going to get really great drainage, a lot of sunshine. The roses are really going to thrive in this particular project. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. This is Doug, the 2-Minute Gardener, saying make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe to get more of my garden videos. This is Doug, the 2-Minute Gardener, again saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.